Welcome back. It's the Buck Rising Show on 104.5 The Zone with no Buck Rising today. I'm Lucas Panzica with you until 1 o'clock. New Lady Vols head coach Kim Caldwell set to join us here in just a moment. Officially announced earlier this week as only the fourth head coach in Tennessee women's basketball history. 191-24 in 7 seasons at her alma mater, Glenville State. 2 D2 Final Fours, as well as a national title, and then a 26-7 campaign in her lone season at Marshall, turning things around quickly for the Thundering Herd and taking them to their first tournament since 1997. Kim Caldwell joins us now on 104.5 The Zone. Coach, so good to have you here. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind the first few days, but appreciate you doing this.
Hey, no problem. I'm excited to be here.
Well, always curious what those first 3 or 4 days are like on the job. I can't even imagine where you begin when the press conference is over, the dust kind of settles, and then the door closes, and it's you in your office now having to move on to that first task. How do you even go about beginning to divvy that up with everything that needs to be done in terms of building a staff and meeting the roster and everything else that comes with it?
You do a lot of things at once. So you want to make sure you get a great staff in place, but you want to make sure that you're in the portal and you're recruiting and you're adding to the roster that we have. But most importantly, you're meeting the players that you have on your team and you're forming a relationship with them and you're listening to them and you're getting to know them. And so it's a lot at once and long days, but it's a good problem to have.
How much better do you feel like you know your personnel in that locker room today versus only 3 days ago? Oh, I think we lost Kim Caldwell. Jackson, if we could effort Kim back here. 615-737-1045, The Zone. In the meantime, I think she dropped off the line there. So hired officially, it was a quick turnaround by Danny White in the Tennessee Athletic Department. And announced on Tuesday in a press conference, Kim Caldwell comes in a time that is fascinating in the grand scheme of things in women's basketball. Again, 26-7 in that one season at Marshall. And you have to kind of understand the place that Marshall was in before Coach Caldwell arrived there. We talked about it, took them to their first NCAA tournament since 1997, and that's exactly what she's trying to do with Tennessee women's basketball as well. Coach Caldwell, I think we got you back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. My question, I don't know if you heard it when you dropped off, just how much better you know your locker room now versus just 3 days ago when you were getting introduced.
Yeah, it's one thing to see them on film, and it's another thing to meet them and to get to know their personalities and see where their headspace is. And, it would be really easy to be at this level and to be here and just be happy to be here. And you get a lot of nice stuff, and the facilities are great, and you get a good experience. But I think we have a really hungry team. We have a team that is going to play with a chip on their shoulder, that has a lot to prove, that feels a little looked over. And so I think the mindset in the locker room is we have a lot to prove. I know I do. And so we're going to be hungry. We're going to work hard, and they're fun to be around, and you don't get to see that on tape. So it was great to meet them this week.
When you got to Marshall about a year ago and you quickly turned things around, a program that hadn't been to the big dance since the late 90s, what was the biggest key for you in that stop to hitting the ground running in this climate of college athletics? And now how does that translate to the Power 5 and SEC level with Tennessee?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a whole different game recruiting-wise here. There's different channels and different methods to it, but work is work. Forming relationships with players and coaches and parents and being yourself, not selling something, but actually being yourself and forming true relationships in a short amount of time. It's huge. Being meticulous in your staff, you want to get it done. You want to rush, but you don't really want to hurry. You want to make sure that you make a decision that's going to last and that you can build with. And so you want everything to happen really quickly, but you want to make sure that you do it the right way. So working as fast as you can in a way that makes sense.
And in a weird way, Kim, does the state of women's basketball now at the college level, we've talked about it this week, the women's national title game outrating the men's game. It was a thrilling season start to finish, the star power all over the place. Does the overall health of the sport make it more difficult to win in the current environment in a weird way?
I think that if you're in the top group, you're in the top group. Obviously, I'm coming from a lower level to where you had no chance. We were very close to our ceiling at Marshall. I think that winning is hard, but I think that that's what makes what we're going to try to do a little bit special, and it gives us a good chance because we're going to do something different. We're not going to do what everyone else does. We're going to do something different, and I think you have to do that, and I think it's going to be fun to watch, but I think you have to do that to win. So to answer your question, yes, and that's why you got to be creative.
New Lady Vols head coach Kim Caldwell is our guest on 104.5 The Zone. And speaking about ceilings, obviously you're at a place now where the ceiling is, everything there is to win in women's basketball. And you talked about your understanding of the history of this program in your press conference. I imagine it's quite an experience to walk into that facility for the first time, to walk by the Pat Summitt statue. How did you take that in with your first exposure to it in person?
I mean, it absolutely gives you chills, and it humbles you, and it puts a little pressure on you, but it really just is an amazing environment to be in. And I cannot believe that I get to coach here. And a lot of people said, well, I can't believe you're taking that job. But, you have to be great. You have to be great. The fan base, they're hungry. And those are – why wouldn't you want that? Why would you not want to play? Why would you want to play in front of a fan base that doesn't care? Why would you want to go to a school that doesn't have high expectations and they want you to finish fifth, and that's a good year for them? I mean, I've had a lot of job opportunities, and obviously none this big, but you want to go somewhere where they care about women's basketball. And you walk down the hallway here, and that is apparent that is what they do, and I think it's phenomenal.
Obviously, it's the first time for this program kind of making that foray out of the Pat Summitt family, so to speak, with former players, assistants of Coach Summitt. You said in your press conference, this quote was going around. The quote was, "I'll never be Pat Summitt. No one can, but I will strive every day to be someone she would be proud of." Coach, how do you walk that line of embracing and respecting that history created by Pat at Tennessee, while at the same time trying to put your stamp on the program and doing things your way?
I mean, it's a fine line. It's a hard line. I have to come in here, and I do have to make it my own. I do have to believe in what got me here. But I have a statue of Pat Summitt on my desk right under my computer, and it's like, hey, I do want to make you proud. I do want to take care of this valued program. I didn't play here. I wasn't good enough to play here. I wasn't even on the radar good enough to play here. But and she has changed the game. What is happening now is she started this. She gave women the opportunity to play. She created just a monster of a program. And so I think that I have to, one, acknowledge that it is special. I'm not going to come in here and disrespect that. And I need to listen to people that knew Pat and people that played here and people that have values in this program, because I do know what it's like to love your alma mater and to look at what the program is doing now from a player standpoint. And so I think that I need to just not come in here and say, forget the past, I'm the future. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I need to pay attention to what the past was, and I need to build those relationships and close those gaps and have our current team meet the teams of the past and listen to them and just make sure that we still remain a family. Just because I wasn't in it before doesn't mean that I don't want to have those relationships.
On the floor, what can we expect from a Kim Caldwell coach team at Tennessee?
We're going to get up and down. We're going to shoot a lot of shots. Hopefully we score a lot of points. We're going to be the hardest playing team in the country. We're gonna get on the floor. We're gonna play hard. We're gonna run on and off the floor. We're gonna have high energy press, multiple different presses, really making sure that people are uncomfortable. But we're gonna cross half court a lot. We're gonna get up and down, and we're gonna try to put on a show.
We have a comment here that we stream the show on YouTube, Coach, and Gaming Mailman on YouTube references the video of you meeting Danny White, not meeting Danny White, but being with Danny White, meeting Rick Barnes, meeting Josh Heupel. He was asking what that conversation was like. How's it been to be integrated into that department surrounded by those head coaches?
I mean, it's amazing. The athletic department here is beyond supportive. And I think almost every head coach here has reached out to me, called me, came by, stopped, introduced himself, offered help. Coach Barnes, Josh, they were no different. So everyone has been incredibly welcoming, supportive. I think Knoxville is just a place that is like that. I mean, everyone has been so kind. My mom, to me, my family, my husband, every time we've been out. And you can just tell that it has an absolute college feel, and people care about sports, and they're welcoming, and it's nice to be here.
You talked about him a little bit in your press conference, but your father, Scott, who passed away a few years ago, just for people who may not know, what did he mean to your basketball journey, and what do you think he would say about everything that's happened this week?
Oh, he would be so excited. I mean, he would be over the moon. My mom had some reservations and she was nervous, but my dad would be go, go, go. You can't be fair. You can't be afraid. You're ready, go. He would be so excited. And he was my coach in high school, and we won a state championship together, and he won 3 state championships. So he was a heck of a coach. He had a phenomenal record as well. And I got to have him on my staff, me and him, for a couple years at Glenville, and it was amazing. It changed my life. You don't really realize it at the time. But looking back, I am so glad that I had those opportunities. But I can feel that he's with me. I know that he is proud. And it's something that would be unbelievable to him.
That dynamic of having him, obviously, as your mentor your whole life, your high school coach, and then technically being his boss at the college level at Glenville State with him on your bench, Coach, there's kind of a dynamic similar here with the Titans. Head coach Brian Callahan, his father Bill, is now the Titans offensive line coach. What was that like for you? Like, how did that transition work for you from being, father-daughter to a head coach, assistant coach at the D2 level?
It was amazing. It was really amazing. He did such a great job of teaching me without telling me what to do and leading by example, because I was never going to let him outwork me, to just slowing me down, giving me advice, opening my eyes. When I was 26 when I got the job, so just blinders on, right? Just win, 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 win. That's all it's about. He just did a phenomenal job of showing me that it's so much more than that. You have to care about people. You have to make sure that your players are set up for success after college. Now, don't get me wrong, we had our moments. One time he called a timeout, and it didn't go well. I looked at my mom, and I said, your husband. So he wasn't my dad in that moment. He was my mom's husband. But so we definitely had our moments, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Oh, that's great. Coach, have you learned the words to Rocky Top yet?
We have sang Rocky Top privately in the car, my husband and I, when we came down to talk to Danny. We've put every song on the playlist that had Tennessee in it. We were so excited. And Rocky Top made its way on there multiple times. I got a really good Rocky Top story. I'll share at a later date. I'm going to save that. But my dad's involved in it a little bit. I think he sent us a little Rocky Top magic. Sometimes his phone hooks up still to this day and age in my mom's car, and Rocky Top just happened to play. So you can tell God has his hands in this, and it's where I'm supposed to be.
I love it. Look forward to hearing that story, too. Coach Kim Caldwell, new head coach of the Lady Vols, has been our guest. Coach, really appreciate the time. Best of luck here in the coming weeks as things can continue to stay busy for you, and looking forward to seeing you for the first time on that sideline.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks. That's Kim Caldwell with us on 104.5 The Zone.